All right, hello. So we're going to jump right in with the technical part of project management. And so today's first class will be on 5 tips on the project management framework. We usually call it class number zero. Number zero. So as I said, I'll be doing 12 videos, and this is the video number zero, if you can call it that way, on project management framework. And so we'll cover 5 tips. Of course, I cannot cover the whole course in 10 minutes. So we'll cover 5 tips when we speak about the project management framework. So we'll go through the definitions. We'll speak about the project life cycles. We'll speak about project life cycles, so traditional predictive projects or agile projects. We'll speak about project control cycles. We'll speak about EEFs, enterprise environmental factors, and OPAs, organizational process assets. All right. And so the first thing is definitions, right? Because the project framework is what? It's about defining what are we looking at. I think in coding they have something similar. Those who are doing IT and programming is you have a framework. So what lens are you looking from, right? What are your glasses, or what perspective are you looking from? That's what you want. That's what you want to do here in this first course. And so definitions are key because we want to all be on the same page when we speak about projects, which I spoke to you about already. A project is not a business. It has an end and it has a start. It has a start and it has an end and a clear result at the end, and it's a temporary endeavor. You have the framework itself, what we're doing right now, and you have project management, which is the study now of how you can manage projects so that you can deliver result on time, on schedule, budget, and within scope. The second part, because the first number one was definitions, the second part that it covers the project management framework is the life cycle of a project. So every project has a life cycle. Now, there are different kinds of projects. You have predictive projects, what we also call the traditional way of doing project management, which has waterfall cycle. So the life cycle here is like a curve, right? And the other part is agile projects, which is the buzzword now, which are projects that are more adaptive because of changing environments and changing, circumstances. And so, but in general, what we'll use as model here will be the projects that have, it starts with initiating a project, then planning, executing, and monitoring, controlling, and closing. All right. The 5 process groups that shape a project, the curve of a project, the life cycle of a project. We'll structure it in these 5 different groups. The third element that we have when we're looking at a project through the framework is project control cycle. All right, a project control cycle. These are the cycles of control when you have a project. And so the typical acronym or that we usually use, a methodology, is PDCA. Plan, you do, you check, and you act. Plan, do, check, act. All right. I'll give you a picture of this so that you can see with me as I'm explaining this to you. The fourth element in as you think about your project framework is EEFs. Again, as I said, these are tips, and I'm just giving 5 tips because this is it takes usually 3 hours to cover this class, but this is an introduction, if you can say, a tutorial, a 5 tips series. So EEFs, what are EEFs? EEFs are enterprise environmental factors. What are enterprise environmental factors? That means there are internal and external factors that can shape or influence your project. All right. And as a project manager, it's very important to know what they are. It's very important to be aware of them because you can start a project and then you are not aware of your internal environmental factors. So, like the organizational structure, we'll speak about that. The different organization structure, the way you work for government structure, which is more functional, right? Lots of hierarchies and so many, positions. The way you work for a governmental project is different from the way you work on a startup project, which is more, agile and projectile and, projectized and all that. So you have to be aware of the organizational structure that's internal, organizational culture, is it more formal and, and all that, or, are the policies, more flexible? You have to be aware of the available resources internally and the employees. Are there enough capable employees within the organization? You also have to be aware of external factors as a project manager. You have to be aware of government and industry standards. You don't want to start something in pharmacy or something in the health system and you don't know what are the government and industry standards. You have to be aware of market conditions, right? So right now, when you're starting a project during these times where there's economic crisis and a lot of people are unemployed or lost their jobs, you have to be aware that the market condition can be a little tough. So it helps you to navigate through your project. You have to be aware of social and cultural influences, right? You will not do a project the same way in the US as you would do in Cameroon. And even within Cameroon, I usually give this as an example to my students. There are projects that the same project, my dad who is in construction, he will tell you you can have build the same house in the north. It will be different. The conditions will be different than when you build it in the center or in the northwest. And even within the same city, the conditions for the same project could be different when you go from neighborhood to neighborhood. All right. So a project manager has to be aware of that, has to have a social, cultural, political awareness, and also awareness of finances. So that's for EEFs. Now, OPAs, the fifth tip is OPAs, organizational process assets. So a project manager has to know what are the processes, policies, procedures within the organization or for the organization they are, subcontracting for. So the project manager has to make good use of templates, of guidelines, of performance measurement documents, and also maximize on the corporate knowledge base that they are. So that means if they take me and they throw me, in one company in Malaysia, right, as a project manager for whatever project is there, what I know to do as a project manager is I have to look into the corporate knowledge base, historical information about the projects, lessons learned from projects before, past files, and that will help me now to tailor the project, according to those circumstances. And so that's a quick 5 tips for the project framework. As I said, it's a heavy topic. It takes lots more than this. Of course, there's so many other things to cover, but this is just project management in less than 10 minutes. And this was your project management framework. We covered the definitions, the project life cycle, the project control cycle, EEFs, enterprise environmental factors, and OPAs, organizational process assets. If you like it, you share it. This is Oli Sankara here for you to excel on your projects. All right. See you for the next video on integration management, the knowledge area number 1, integration management. Bye.